What's the first thing you think of when you wake up in the morning?
Oh God, do I have to?
So have you ever composed something looking at the moon?
I have a song called Voice of the Moon on Rise, actually. And I have composed other things looking at the moon. Bright Eyes was one of them. And I have 2 moon tattoos as well.
She's a moon baby.
I'm a moon baby.
Yeah. What's your own favorite piece of music that you've created? Something that you've created.
That's difficult.
There's nothing I enjoy more than having a great conversation. So I'm particularly excited to start the show today called Drive and Dialogue. And I'm even more excited because I have a remarkable woman on the show with me today. She's been the youngest sitarist of our time. She's been a 9-time Grammy Award nominee. She's a doting mother. She's also an actor. She's a film composer. She's an activist. And that list just goes on. She's none other than Anoushka Shankar. And today you're going to see another side of Anoushka beyond just her music as well. Welcome to our show, Anoushka. We're so happy to have you here.
Thank you.
We heard you set the Lollapalooza stage on fire. How has it been touring India?
Oh, yeah.
And what have your experiences been?
It's been fantastic. I mean, getting to come and tour a multi-city tour of India, but then also play a festival like Lollapalooza at the same time. It's been a joy. Like yesterday was really, really just very special.
Electric. How's the Indian audience been?
I mean, incredible.
Yeah.
It's always really special to be here.
Any favorite moments?
I mean, Lolla India was a highlight for sure.
Yeah.
Getting to play my music there, getting to jump on stage and do a surprise little moment with Keen was great.
Amazing.
But also just playing, like for example, Hyderabad and Pune are cities I haven't been to for a few years. So the warmth and the joy of being back there, but then being in the cities I love to come back to all the time, like Bangalore and Mumbai. So it's hard to choose one favorite.
I know, it's a tough one. Well, you've been on tour, but we're going to start our little tour.
Cool.
Now let's jump in the car and get going.
Cool.
Yeah. So yeah, as we start our journey, I'm going to ask you a little bit about your journey. I mean, my journey started pretty much like yours, kind of looking at my father and seeing him around the world of automobiles and then just wanting to do everything with it. And that was for you when you had your first concert pretty early at 13.
That's right.
Was it intimidating? Like a big legacy to live up to?
I mean, to be honest, like it was hugely intimidating. But as far as whether it was a pressure when it came to, you know, fulfilling his legacy, I always try and clarify a little bit because I don't believe that's a thing artistically. Like I don't think you can fill someone's footsteps shoes exactly or continue. All those ideas are kind of external notions that don't have a really clear meaning, and I feel like that was one thing I had my head on straight about from when I was really young. Was I knew that was a kind of impossible task and that it was just something I had to let go.
I think all fathers, you know, love their daughters and you know, want the best for them. And I, you know, when I did that first race, it was kind of, what if I do really badly and I don't live up to his expectations? You know, that was more, I think, the challenge for me. So that's where I was coming from, asking you that question. It's just kind of wanting to be the best for them as well.
I think being the best for the people you care about, for the person that's teaching you or guiding you, and for yourself. Right? Like nothing's worse than when I know I haven't done my best. And you're right, like in those early days, my father would have been the one that would know better than anyone. If I haven't quite. But I think he was also so supportive and so proud and so loving that it really helped.
Was it always music, or like every other child, did you at some point want to be like an astronaut or something completely ridiculously different?
I think I always leaned towards artistic options. I was always interested in music, I was interested in dance, I was interested in writing. I never really had a very separated, more tech-related or business-related or law-related ambition, for example. The only other thing that drew me, I would say, was a sense, as a teenager, like a sense of politics and debating and justice, and like that got me as well.
Have you ever thought of doing something completely drastically different?
I mean, yeah, there's a couple of things. I mean, one, again, writing like really is something I enjoy. And over the years when I've done little short-term things like being a columnist for a publication or writing a book, like a small book, it brings me joy. And I think, okay, that's something I would love to switch to. The other thing is therapy, like the whole therapeutic world. Like as someone who's been on the receiving side of how incredible therapy can be, I think it's a fascinating field.
You know, music is such a soul healer for so many people.
Yes.
So I think you're doing that in a way in any case. So it's
thank you.
Yeah, you know, music is such a mood changer.
Absolutely.
And you've dabbled in acting as well, right?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you enjoy that, or was it something that you said?
Okay, so
not for me?
to be very frank, I didn't enjoy that particular experience very much. And now, many years later, I can see it was that experience, and that maybe a different experience would have brought me more joy. But that experience I didn't enjoy, and I kind of stepped away as a result of it immediately. I was like, this is not my one.
Happening.
And actually, part of that is just the beauty and fortune of being a musician or writing my own music. I'm very much used to being in charge of my work, right? Like there's something about like the work I put in, the content I create, the creativity I put out in the world. I'm editing it, I'm producing it, I'm choosing it. I say when it's finished, it's exactly, I get to realize my vision. And I'm really blown away by people who work in that collaborative film world. But to me, it's really strange to kind of be an actor and then you have to hand over completely. And it's like not up to you what gets done with what you did. I do micromanage everything, yes.
Yeah. Quite like me.
Yes. I just realized now it just means that I care.
Exactly.
I care about the project. I care about whatever I'm doing. I care that I'm doing my best. I've definitely had experiences where I can look back and learn and go, yeah, I could have dealt with that better. And that's a learning of like, how do you micromanage? How do you be a boss? How do you be a producer? How do you work with people in a way that everyone can get passionate and be on side with you and create something together? And that's not by being, hypercritical or, any of those other things. There's a way to do it that's different. But ultimately, I care about every detail of everything I do.
But I'm so in sync with you because I completely get that. I micromanage because I want everything to be just right and perfect. But I think over a period of time, we learn how to do it better and better and not, just be crazy mad bosses.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, when you make art, it's coming, not to sound too poncy or whatever, but it comes out of your soul, right? So it's like I'm making something that's from a very deep
place,
part of me, so I can't just let that go.
And I think for me, like driving a different car every day and getting into something is what keeps me ticking. The variety of it. And you've also done some really a wide variety of music, from collaborating with Lenny Kravitz to being on the Dalai Lama's album to being in the Philharmonic, and then that's like a wide spectrum. Yeah. So is that something that gets you going, just doing a variety of very many different things?
Very much so. I think, I have my core path, which is like the albums I make and touring that and creating bands to represent the music I make. But then I've always had this kind of side stream where I'm a soloist with classical orchestras around the world, and I play concertos and I play repertoire. And that's a kind of whole different world and atmosphere. And then I love collaborations where I get to work with people from all different genres and just step into just these different, different feelings and moods and energies and get to take my instrument into those places. And that's something I find really fascinating.
You've just got a new mini album, Chapter 1, and that's exploring Carnatic lullaby.
Not entirely. So Chapter 1, Forever for Now, is my new album, and it's the first in a trilogy of these chapters that I'm releasing. It's a collection of 4 songs that all really go into like very vulnerable, intimate soundscape with the sitar, and just kind of started with this Carnatic lullaby, which is on one of the songs that my mom and my grandmother used to sing to me when I was a kid. And I had a moment in the summer where I was with my kids and trying to multitask, and like watch one of them who was tired and one of them that was playful, and I needed to practice. We were doing all of it in the garden, and one was lying in my lap and I was practicing, and the other was jumping on the trampoline. And because one kid was lying on my lap, sleepy, my practice was quite gentle. Yeah. And just somehow under my fingers, this melody started forming that I remembered from my childhood. And I'd never heard that lullaby on the sitar before. And I was struck by how beautiful it sounds, because it's from the south, you know, so it's not usually played on the sitar. And
so Dad didn't play that lullaby for you on the sitar?
No. And so that was the kind of genesis of the feeling of this chapter. I wanted to capture that feeling in the garden of like tenderness and gentleness. Yeah. And so the 4 songs are about that.
Yeah. I mean, I know as a woman, they say you shouldn't, and you know, the world is equal, and my husband's very much a part of my children's life and stuff like that. But there's still this incredible guilt when I used to just travel a lot and leave them behind. Is that something that you go through as well?
After I had my first child, and then whenever my subsequent friends were having their first babies, I would say to them, look, you're going to birth a bag of guilt with your baby. And it's going to follow you everywhere.
Through your life.
You're never going to be able to put it down. Yeah. Because you're either going to feel guilty for all the other things you have to let go of in order to give your kid everything they need, or there's going to be times that you're not giving your kid what they think they need because you need to fulfill your own path. And it's impossibly difficult. It's a really hard thing to navigate, and I struggle with it because I'm a touring single mom. You know, when I'm feeling down, my friends say to me, you know, look, your job is unusual. Yeah. When you're home, you spend more time with them than we get to, because we have a job and we come home every day. Whereas you're there to pick them up, you're there with time, and when you give them that time. And I have to remember that, like, there's these ebbs and flows, and it balances out in the end. But it is hard.
You know, we all unwind to music. What does Anoushka Shankar unwind to?
I unwind to music as well, not my own music, definitely other people's music. I also I love doing yoga. I love, sometimes unwinding's like the opposite. Like I have to go crazy. Like I have to really dance and get like all the, because I sit so much on tour. We're sitting on planes, we're sitting in cars, we're sitting on stage. So I have to move, so I have to move my body, and then my mind can rest again. So I might dance, I might go for really long walks, like walk for an hour, 2 hours, and just kind of finally find myself coming back.
I do this. Yeah. I just go out on a drive on my own in a car.
Yeah,
switch off the phone, and then you've just got your own space.
So you need that
kind of unwind, and I love driving. So it doesn't matter to me what's around. It's still therapeutic.
Yeah, I get that.
And I love dancing too. Yes. I think that's hugely therapeutic.
I think you really move stuff through your body. Right? It's very powerful.
Yeah.
And just kind of roughhousing with my kids and playing around and hanging out with them.
I guess that's where the term "shake it off" comes
from.
Yeah. So I'm going to do a fun section.
Okay.
Now with you, this or that.
Oh boy. Okay.
English breakfast or dosa?
Dosa.
When you're picturing romance, an Indian monsoon or the English summer?
Monsoon.
Okay. Spicy or sweet?
Sweet.
Okay. Music, up tempo or slow beat?
Can't choose. That's a mood question.
Yeah. Beach or mountains?
Oh, I'll go beach, but I love mountains too.
Early morning person, or do you do all your music and thinking late night?
I used to do late night until I had kids, and now I'm more of a morning person now. They've completely changed me.
Kids change you, and there's one thing you lose is sleep.
Yes.
You just from being able to sleep through anything.
I'll go back and still say late night, because even though I don't get to do it as much, there's a magic to that. Yeah. Like writing music when it feels like the world is asleep. That's absolutely beautiful.
And do you like to Netflix and chill, or would you like to go out and party?
You're giving me all the things where I like both.
You could say both.
Both.
Some days for this and some days.
It's the mood, But if I had to choose one, I'd say go out and see friends. Maybe not like high octane partying all the time, but social.
Indian folk music or Western classical?
Oh, these are really hard. I'll go Indian folk.
SUV or sedan?
Sedan.
And are you like a person who likes to drive, or do you like to be chauffeur driven?
I like driving. Well, I like driving when it's not too hectic. I grew up driving in California, where everything's kind of like stay in your lane. Yeah. Automatic car. It's very easy, but I love it.
Great. It's been fantastic.
It's been really fun talking to you.
So I did a really fun episode today, driving around in a car and having great conversation with none other than Anoushka. Say hi.
Hi.
Anoushka, you rocked the stage, you rocked this conversation. I had a great time. How did you?
I had a great time. You're fab to talk to. And
Yeah.
you drive well.
Thank-
So, there you go.
Thank you. So I didn't scare Anoushka
Nah.
on Mumbai roads, I promise. It's been a fun conversation. We've had some really interesting chatter and a lot of Anoushka beyond her music as well. So stay tuned.